Hello, this is Luke with his mentor, talking about video number 4, which was standard 6, 7, and 8. So I'll just start with what I thought went well and where it could have improved upon with the lesson. So the I think the students did very well. I thought they did well with the word of the day, which is that's like a daily formative test. This is just to see where their phonics skills are, and how well they can apply their phonics to different words. So that the recording day's word was an easier word, so that was a lot nicer for them. Other times they're really complex words. Like today was a French word, impromptu. Some of them could read it, some of them couldn't apply it, and so yeah, it's a good just to see where they are and how they can do those things. Where I could have possibly improved, this is what I'm still debating on. Just having them listen to the test or listen to the story.
Yeah.
I could have easily put on a YouTube video and shown them the story, but then I didn't do that, and so I'm still there. Is like, should I have done that? Shouldn't I have not done that? But then I'm also remembering like when they do their Cambridge test, there's no video.
Yes.
It's 100% audio.
Yes.
So even if they're not an audible learner, they still have to learn how to do that.
Yes.
So that's partly why I didn't choose a video. And so and then they also got to listen to it 2 times, just like on the Collins test. But then one thing I should have done though is after they listened to it 1 time, I should have asked, "What's the story about?" I should have done that. I didn't do that, and
Yeah.
that's the one thing that's the biggest thing I wish I had done.
Yes,
I think that would have helped all the students overall if I had done that. But yes.
Yeah, actually, the ant and the grasshopper is quite in a long story. I believe everybody knows this story, but not young kids. So if you have the time for discussing or talking about the story, to check how much they understood about the characters and story and who is the better or who is the worst, like that in orally, okay, then they could understand the story more easily. Okay, so it was a little sorry not to hear that kind of thing. And also after listening to the story, you made students do the test. Okay, and some students could write sentences very creatively, and others need to choose a multiple choice, right? And every day our students describe some pictures, right? They practice writing. So I'd love to, if I were you, I would make students create a new story. After looking at the story, listening to the story, they can create their own story, having the ant and grasshopper, who is a good person, who is the bad person, like that, how they need to help each other. And when the grasshopper visited the ant's house in winter, he greeted the grasshopper and he gave the food, right? And
Not in this story.
in the story there was
Yeah,
not that.
no.
Okay, because I couldn't hear
Yeah.
all the story. I just imagine
Yeah.
they listen that story that I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this
So-
one was just like a 1-minute audio clip.
Yeah. I see. It's not real whole story
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you had time for talking about those kind of things, and we can teach the students, how we should cooperate, and how we should help the poor or the weak. I would love to have that kind of time. Okay, it's not only for teaching grammar or English education. We can teach the students how to be good person too, right? Okay, so it was good to see they do the test, and that is a good way to check how much students understood the lesson. So it was a good way to see. And then there's another concern about the atmosphere of the lesson.
Okay.
Okay, during the lesson, you moved around to see how the students work on the test, and I saw some students moving around, and they look quite distracted. And I'm not sure if they finished their work. Probably they did, but they bothered other students in working quite often. So I was wondering how much you gave the students in the discipline. What kind of discipline you gave the students? Because it looked quite irritating to me. If I were one of the students in that class, I would be upset because I cannot focus on the lesson. So I heard from another teacher that one student bothers another student, and the student felt quite upset and sad because she feels worse than the student, and she compares with the student, and quite often the student answers faster than her, and she didn't have enough time for participating in the lesson. So I'd love to ask you to discipline those kind of distracting students so that everybody can focus on the lesson equally in a good atmosphere. Okay, and except that part, the lesson looked quite good to me.
Thank you.
My pleasure.